Linda, how would you like to play 3-Question Thursday?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Question number 1. In sugar-free, flour-free living, what have you found to be the easiest or the hardest to do?
Wow. Boy, that's a great question. I, wow, I'd have to think hard about the hardest. I guess just the initial stopping sugar because I was just I really identify as as like addicted to sugar, and my brain has no off switch with sugar. I was one of those people, you go to a party and there's like, oh, there's cake. Okay. Right before I started eating this way, before I heard about this way of eating, I went to a party, and I remember talking to my cousin, and she had been eating this way for a while, and she'd lost some weight. She was looking good and feeling great. And she said, once you give up sugar, after a while, you just don't miss it. And I'm like, well, that's just impossible. She says, I don't even crave it. And I'm like, that's all I crave all the time. So they happen to have these big slabs of cake. I mean, the Costco cake, have you ever gotten those big sheet?
Oh yeah, I've seen them. I haven't personally bought them, but yes.
Yeah, don't buy one. They'd be dangerous. But so, I used to be like, I love the cake, but the cake is like a vehicle to get the frosting into my mouth. So these huge 2-layer thing, it's about this high. That's about 4 inches in case you can't tell how big my hand is. But and then it's 2 layers, and it's filled with frosting too. It's huge. And she sent me home with 4 big slabs on a big plate, and that I ate that first night, and I was stuffed leaving that party. And I think I ate 2 pieces that night, 2 pieces the next day, and the day after that I went to eating sugar and flour free. So just overcoming, I guess the hardest was just overcoming the hurdle of thinking, I'm just not going to eat sugar anymore. I'm not going to have cookies. I'm not going to have cake. I'm not going to have pie, and the list just went on and on and on. Even my coffee was just loaded with sugar. And just the mental transition of that. And I think what really, really helped me, and still does to this day, is this is a 1 day at a time thing. I just picked a day and I said, tomorrow I'm just going to eat. I'm not going to eat flour or sugar. And I just said to myself, I've tried a billion plans, nothing else is stuck. I've been up and down the scale. I feel terrible. I was really abusing my body and just binging all the time. And I thought, I just want to try one more thing before I give up. And I thought, what if it doesn't work? And I thought, well, what if it does? Let's just try it. I'm going to do 1 meal. If I can get through a meal without sugar or flour, I'll try the next meal and see how that goes. So I think the hardest thing was just making that decision, and but coming to the realization that I don't have to commit for the rest of my life to not eat sugar or flour. Just today, this is what I want. This meal, and you do it for a little while and you feel so much better that it gets really way easier than you could ever imagine. Because I remember binging from the time I was a little kid, probably 8 or 10 years old, and sugar was my thing. So that was kind of a hard transition to make. So that was hard. But probably the easiest now is that I love to cook. I love to bake, especially. And I've kind of come to know a lot of people that are really inventive, and they love to make up recipes. And I love to try them, and I love to put my own twist on them, but it's just so fun. It really scratches that itch for me of wanting to bake and be creative with food, and share it with other people. And even the sugar and flour free things that I make are really well received by a lot of people that I know. And that's just been really fun. Just really easy and fun. It was just like the comfort of me knowing that I don't have to give up my identity as somebody that loves to bake and share. I can still do that, and I can do it in a healthy way.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. So question number 2. So you expressed that, the baking part kind of turned into part of the easier part of this journey for you. And I know that you've lost a considerable amount of weight. Do you mind sharing how much that is? That's not the whole question.
No, I don't mind at all. I'm very out there with all of it. So my weight loss journey has taken a lot of twists and turns over the years. So my highest ever weight was 245 pounds. And I was in my mid 20s, really hard time for me, really just in a deep depression, you know, and I didn't recognize it as such then, but had really withdrawn and was depressed. And just all I wanted to do was just isolate and eat and eat and eat. And that's what I did. And so my weight climbed to 245. Up till that point, I had been 230 was my highest. That was what I weighed when I graduated high school. I know in junior high or middle school, as people call it now, I know I weighed over 200 pounds. I remember that really distinctly. And I remember being overweight from the time I was probably, again, about the same time that I started like binge eating or secretively eating, especially sugary things, from probably about 8 or 9, I would say. So 245 was my highest. I used a plan and went up and down and up and down and up and down over the years. And when I heard about eating this way and getting off of sugar and flour, I was 58 and I had already given up. I tried that plan again. I'd done as well as I could possibly do, starting at 220 pounds for a month. And I lost 1.5 pounds at the end of that month. And I have a doctor's scale, so I know it's really accurate. And I was just so discouraged. And I thought, well, this is always before on a first month. If I was really vigilant, I had taken off at least 8 or 10 pounds. And when I saw 1.5 pounds, I thought, well, this is crazy. I'm not getting anywhere. So I heard about this way of eating and I started it at 58 and I lost 70 pounds in about 9 months, a little over 9 months. And then went on maintenance, started making maintenance additions. At one point, I got down to about 100, I weighed 134 pounds one day. And some people don't believe in that, but I am fairly big boned, long legs, long arms, kind of not, they look bigger when I put them here, but you know, my hands are, you know, my bones are big, my wrists are still, this is like bone, there's nothing but bone there, and they're pretty broad, you know, so I'm fairly big boned, and I loved how it felt. I felt light and I felt small, and I'd never felt either of those things before that way. But literally one night I came home, my driveway is kind of like a wind tunnel. My property slopes off, the wind tends to come right down my driveway, and I stepped out of my car. It was very windy and it almost blew me over for one thing. And the other thing was I rolled over in bed one night, same at that low weight, and my elbow hit my hip bone, and it actually like hurt. Like, I think that's going to leave a bruise. I'm like, okay, this is probably too. So, and using like the French formula, as it's called, if anybody's familiar with that, that's what it told me to weigh at my height was 135, but that's pretty low. And it was just too skinny for me. And I was having a lot more people saying, are you well? Are you okay?
Oh, okay.
Really thin, you know? So I intentionally made some more maintenance additions. And my weight came back up, which was great, to about 137 or 138. And I maintained there for quite a while. And again, I felt good, still was getting complaints, you're too thin, blah, 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 but I felt really good there. My jeans fit well, and that's like a deal breaker or, you know, a deal maker for me. And then got back into some binging just on compliant food, on flour and sugar-free food. And I went, it slowly crept up over 2 years in maintenance, and I never ate sugar, I never ate flour, but just quantities were off. And I finally realized, oh, those binge tendencies are still with me, and it doesn't matter what I'm putting in my mouth. It's the action of just stuffing down my feelings. Anything was bothering me, I'd reach for food. And when I made the connection with, I need to take care of myself, I need to be in touch with what I'm thinking, what's bothering me mentally, emotionally, and even physically, just, you know, I'd get to the end of a day and I'd get home and all I wanted to do was just eat. And when I started to process that clearly and say, what are you feeling? Sometimes it was mental or an emotional thing, and I just needed to pray, or I needed to apologize to somebody, or somebody hurt my feelings, or who knows what, you know, I've got a big bill. How am I going to deal with that? I hadn't thought about it consciously, but it's still there, you know. But physical things like my feet have been freezing all day, you know, well, hello, turn the heat up and put some socks on, you know?
Yeah.
Or my back has been hurting all day, or my hip is really sore, you know, take some Advil, you know, stretch, do something. And it's that transition, even now, with thoughts of wanting extra food, if I translate that into, what are you feeling? Sit down, make myself think. What are you feeling mentally, emotionally, or physically? And how can you make that better without excess food? It just completely just takes that binge urge away. And it's just
That's
really,
fantastic, Linda. I think I could do that every night and really kind of do a, a
inventory.
thermometer read. How high is it up on the thermometer? Like, how anxious am I getting? How, all the different triggers. I call it throat hunger, that I would just feel this in my throat, that sometimes I wanted to cry, sometimes I wanted to scream, just like, what is it that I'm holding right here? That's what it reminds me of, what you're saying, a kind of a barometer of what my day is, instead of just going to the food.
Yes, absolutely, Noreen. And just learning to do that inventory has been an absolute game changer. And that came from one of our members, Ed Pettit, who posted something. It was the red dot truth, which is
Right.
like, yeah, the map of the mall, for those of us old enough to remember what a mall is. The big red dot, you are here on the map. And I had to go, okay, what am I doing that's working? What am I doing that's not working? And what else is it that's making that binge urge? And it's almost like you say, like turning that thermostat up until the heat is so high. The only way I can shut that down is to eat. It's just to pound in. And so that has been a real game changer. So anyway, my weight is the original question 25 minutes ago when you asked me. My weight went back up to 160 from that 137, 138 happy place. And I was just getting panic stricken. But when, yeah, I'm a Christian and I felt like the Lord, I was just praying desperately, like I was before I found this plan. I'm like, Lord, you just have to help me. I don't know what else to do. And he just brought me to that truth and helped me to work through that stuff. And it's ongoing, but my weight has come down. Most of the time my weight is 150. Occasionally, right now I'm 153, which is high for me right now. And I just need to kind of short my lines. I've been like, we're going to go on a road trip. I'm going to have, French fries, I know what it is and I know what it takes and I don't worry about the number so much. It's information. It's like, just get back to doing what you need to do. And it comes off, it fluctuates up and down, but I'm usually between 149 and 151 typically. So I don't know, I can't do math, but I think I'm down like 95 pounds most days from my high.
And you actually answered the second part remember when I said that's the first part. The second part was, have you had any like up and down? So that you actually answered before I even asked it. So here's the third question. This is for all the marbles, all the money. Okay. Linda, I want to take you back to the day before you began your program of no sugar, no flour, the confined quantities, all these things. Looking ahead of maybe the grief of what you felt of, even you were not going to be able to have this or that or whatever, what would you say to the Linda of that day?
Oh, just try this. When I read the book, and that resounded with me, I thought, this woman gets me. It took me a long time to come to the place where I could say, I'm a food addict, and I still kind of struggle a little bit sometimes with that. Sounds a little too all-inclusive, but I can absolutely say that I have addictive tendencies toward food. That sugar and well, sugar in particular, probably flour. I don't test that theory. I don't have it. I don't miss it. But sugar, I know for me, is just like a wildfire with gasoline, and there is no way that I can have it and not be right back in that ditch, that bottomless pit of just, I can't control it. I can't find my way out. So now with all that said, I don't remember my original question to answer.
What would you say to that, Linda? Like maybe something that surprises you now even? I mean, yes, the weight is one thing, but is there anything else that has surprised you on this journey, or maybe non-scale victories or anything like that?
I think the most valuable thing that I've gained is just the peace in my brain, because for decades and decades, it was just that constant eat. This isn't enough. This is too much. You're on plan, you're off plan. you're gaining, you're not losing fast enough, you're working out until you're dead dog tired and your body hurts and you can't, I'm just running on an endless treadmill of just trying to toe that line and follow that plan. And yet that constant, big booming voice in my head, eat, it's not enough, eat, when can I eat again? What can I eat? How many points is this? If I work out an extra half an hour, can I have a cookie? Can I eat a hamburger with cheese on it and mayo? And, that peace and quiet around food is priceless. Weight or no weight, on or off, that's a whole separate, huge blessing. Huge blessing, and has made such a difference in my quality of life, just getting that weight off. But that piece in my brain, when I was back into the binging and the food was running the show and those thoughts, that's horrible. There's not room in your brain for anything else.
Yeah.
So that
the piece is amazing. And Linda, I got to tell you, you have been such a great friend through my journey. I still have one of your posts as on my desktop because your words have inspired me. And I just want to thank you. So thank you, my friend. And thank you for, sharing your culinary skills, all the tweaks in the recipes. And thank you for playing 3-Question Thursday. It's been a delight.
Thank you, Noreen. I love you, and I'm so thankful to know you. You just are such a blessing to all of us. And thank you for just doing these. I know it takes a lot of your time and a lot of your work, and you're so dedicated to it, and you're just so loved and appreciated. So thank you for the opportunity to share.
You're welcome. Thanks again. Thanks everybody for being here. Stay the course. Stay bright.